Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
Putting off writing that proposal again? Yeah, we've been there. Proposal writing can be tough. It takes work, and if you're not careful, you can set up your company for failure. Well, that's where we come in. Smart Pricing Table is an innovative application that focuses on, well, the pricing table. Instead of a static document and constant back and forth, our platform creates interactive proposals that empower your prospects. Not sure if something is needed? Make it optional. Have complicated services that vary? Let your customer do the work with line item upsells. Have reoccurring services? Easy peasy. With Smart Pricing Table, you can create attractive proposals quickly. And our system is built for reuse, so you can get out of that hamster wheel. Give your customers choice and close deals quickly with Smart Pricing Table.
Welcome to Cross Politic. I'm stuck hosting today because Pastor Toby is sick, and Beer and Psalms will be by the Water Boy. I'm the Chocolate Knox. Democrats, they are losing really badly. They are drowning in. Oh, it's going to be ugly. They are drowning in a sea of red, and they know it. They know it really badly, and they're finding a lifeline in their very good friend Paul Pelosi. How are they finding this lifeline? They're finding it in the Republican violence. So Joe Biden was asked, hey, how do you feel about this whole Pelosi situation?
You can't condemn the violence unless you condemn those people who continue to argue the election was not real, that it's being stolen, that all the malarkey that's being put out there to undermine democracy. You can't just apologize and say the violence. It affects people's mentality. It affects how people think, particularly people who are not maybe as stable as other people. So the talk has to stop. That's the problem. That's the problem.
Stolen election caused violence? Like doubting that, questioning that?
Well, it actually seems as worse than that. To have an opinion about anything other than what the Democrats want you to have opinion on. If you happen to think, hey, you know what? There was some voter fraud. We don't think things were done right now. You can't have that opinion. That opinion actually encourages people who might not be as stable to do things. And so your opinion,
like Fetterman.
Well, I'm praying for that dude. I don't even. It's hard to make.
It's not his fault.
Well,
it's his handler's fault. Kind of like Biden.
I've tried to figure out, with Fetterman, what are they doing? Why would they run him? Why would they put him out there like that? Once you have a
nomination, you have to go to the finish line with that nomination, and then if they get past the finish line, then you can swap them out.
So you think they're doing the same thing with Biden too? He's not going to.
No. Biden. I suspect they're already. Wall Street Journal today had an article saying Biden and Harris need to bow out of the 2024 election.
They took Harris with them too.
But if Biden got nominated, then they would want to try to push him to the line and then swap him out.
Here's the thing with what's happening with Pelosi. We don't know all the facts yet. The story has changed with Paul Pelosi.
Yep.
It doesn't. We don't know. We don't understand the whole story. We haven't had the guy went to court and pled not guilty to all the charges that were brought against him. So we don't really know what's going on. But what we do know for sure is that Republicans who have opinions that are not with the mainstream are causing this violent streak, and they need to stop talking. Yeah. So your thoughts are violence. Right. Your thoughts, your opinions are now violence.
And this has been coming from women at secular universities for 10 years now, for a decade now. Your thoughts are violence on me.
Right. And
what you think.
And now it's hit Republicans.
Hit politicians.
And it's not just Pastor Toby leaves and my throat dies. I think whatever he has, I might be having or have had anyway. Yeah. But what you see happening also is you have Hillary Clinton, who was on Joy Reid's show recently, talking about Republicans talking any type of way that would be opposed to the Democrats taking power or leading. That's violent. So there was a clip of Kari Lake we're going to play in just a second, where Kari Lake says, "Hey, doesn't seem like there's a lot of security around."
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton goes on Joy Reid's show, and listen to how she blows this way out of proportion.
The level of just plain crazy, violent hate rhetoric coming out of Republicans. You played something from the Republican candidate for governor in Arizona. I want viewers, I want voters to stop and ask themselves, would we trust somebody who is stirring up these violent feelings, who is pointing fingers, scapegoating, making a joke about a violent attack on Paul Pelosi? Why would you trust that person to have power over you, your family, your business, your community?
Wow.
Wait.
The Clinton legacy. And by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Well, that's obvious. You might want to start saying Kanye didn't kill himself right now, too. But let's start at the back end of her clip. She said, do you want these people having power over you? Does she forget how this runs here in America? Our politicians don't have power over us. We actually have power over them. Yeah. They go in and represent us.
They report to us. They report to us. Yeah.
And she's just saying this because what she's really trying to say is, I should be the one having power.
That's right.
Over you.
That's right.
Not them.
Not Kari.
Right. But I think this is something that it slips, but we let it slip. It's like, oh no. But listen to this. So she said, crazy, violent, hate rhetoric.
What was it that Kari said?
What did she say?
Okay.
It is not impossible to protect our kids at school. They act like it is. Nancy Pelosi, well, she's got protection when she's in D.C. Apparently her house doesn't have a lot of protection. But
That's funny.
If our lawmakers have protection, if our lawmakers can have protection, if our politicians can have protection, if our athletes, then certainly the most important people in our lives, our children, should have protection.
They should have protection too. Crazy, hate, violence, rhetoric.
Yeah.
You got to remember, they are losing right now really, really bad.
In the polls.
They all feel this red wave that's coming.
I mean, when you got a governor, you're fixing to lose your governorship to a Republican in New York.
Well, that's what you think. You think Hochul's going to lose?
Well, he's up by a percentage point in the polls right now.
That's really bad.
That's crazy.
So they're looking for a lifeline. They tried to run with the whole Roe v. Wade overturning. They thought that was going to get them somewhere.
They got a little traction this summer.
So women's rights are being stolen from them. That hasn't worked.
But the problem is that's still a small, even the abortion thing, still kind of a small demographic, right? Because it only specifically applies to those who want to get abortions, which is not very many in this nation in terms of overall percentage.
You say small demographic, like who?
That campaign talking point, right? You're a million babies a year get killed, which is atrocious.
Yeah.
But you're talking to a very small demographic that actually cares about abortion.
Well, but they're also talking to say if they'll take abortion away, they'll take away everything.
They're trying to spin it to be something bigger.
Yeah. And so they haven't had anything because
that didn't work this summer.
Inflation, the economy has really been the things that they refuse to talk about. And so they're hoping to spin like, hey, if these Republicans get in, this is going to be a different, the political rhetoric is high.
Right.
And this is going to be a different kind of nation if these Republicans are able to get in and take power. It will be bad. And so on Face the Nation, who was it? It was Tom Emmer from Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah, representing Minnesota.
He's running for the House seat.
Okay.
And he was on Face the Nation, and boy, they went clean after him. Listen to this.
How concerned are you about the risk of political violence, and how should it be minimized?
There's no place for violence, period, in our society. Physical violence or violence against someone's property. I think you've already covered that here this morning. The incident in San Francisco, tragic as it is, I think we need some more information about it, but we should all be feeling for Paul Pelosi and his family. Hopefully there'll be 100% recovery.
And just to be abundantly clear, you denounce any kind of attack on the Pelosi family.
Absolutely. There should be no attacks, period. There should be no violence in our society. Again, whether it's political or otherwise, there's no place for it in a civilized society.
What wasn't clear? what wasn't clear that he said. So just to be clear, you ever feel like there's a setup coming?
Yep.
Like it was like, well, just to be clear, you mean that this was bad? He said it was bad.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, you should be arrested. This whole violence thing is a no-go." Right?
That's just mainstream media, and it's just annoying to watch.
But what he should have said was been like, "Nah, I think it was a great idea that dude ran in his house with a hammer and started beating him in the head."
Well, you notice there was a guy apparently walking around in his underwear that got into Paul Pelosi's house in San Francisco neighborhoods. Just didn't notice it because that's common, apparently.
and you need security. Hey, Gabe, you know what? When you just said that, I felt a whole lot of violence from you.
Did you? Was it the underwear? Was it the underwear?
And it triggered me. This clip didn't stop here. Watch how. So just basic tweets now. This is what they're grasping for. Just a basic tweet now that they will reframe to tell a different story to put you in a bad light to try and avoid this red wave that's coming.
On your Twitter feed, you posted this video we're going to show just a few days ago where you're firing a gun and it says, "Enjoyed exercising my Second Amendment rights. #fire Pelosi."
Okay, pause the clip video right here.
Look at the rest of that tweet.
Read the tweet.
She paused. She just stated, she read the first sentence and then went right to the hashtag, which is, for those who are listening and can't see, it's like another sentence and a half down is what the hashtag is.
So I'm going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
"Enjoyed exercising my Second Amendment rights with Kelly Cooper, Arizona, and General," I can't see that part.
Jack Bergman.
Bergman _ M1. 13 days to make history. Let's fire Pelosi.
Yeah.
That's what the tweet read. The full context of the tweet.
For Second Amendment rights and get out bad politicians who are against those Second Amendment rights. And he played off the word fire.
Now listen to where this conversation goes.
Why is there a gun in a political ad at all?
It wasn't an ad.
Hashtag
I was
or a tweet.
I was tweeting out something that I had just
#fire
done.
Pelosi with a weapon.
Well, now
wouldn't a pink slip be more fitting if it's about firing her?
It's interesting.
Stop, Gabe. What would you have said right now if she's hitting you like this? It's like, okay, you know what? You did this ad. #fire Pelosi with a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean in and say to her, I was like, yeah, Pelosi needs to get out of office. She's a horrible candidate.
But
she's
you use
horrible.
a gun.
She's responsible for millions of babies dying in our country due to abortion. She needs to be fired.
But you use a gun with it. Are you trying to say that you should fire Pelosi with a gun, Gabe?
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying we should do any sort of political violence or gun violence.
You should put a pink slip instead of a gun.
It's a great metaphor. It's a great metaphor. What's wrong with that metaphor?
Yeah, see.
Is there a problem there? Is there a problem with me using a metaphor?
I would have.
Is a metaphor violence?
Let's keep playing the clip. Because watch this.
Why a gun?
It's interesting, Margaret, we were talking about this morning when a couple of years back,
why force
a Bernie Sanders supporter shot Steve Scalise.
Which was horrendous.
When a Bernie
and
Sanders supporter shot Steve Scalise, I never heard you or anyone else in the media trying to blame Democrats for what happened.
He's 100% correct about that.
We did extensive coverage of what happened.
That's not what he said.
Scalise. There's extensive
Nobody
news coverage,
tried to equate Democrats' rhetoric. People that
I'm not talking about your rhetoric. I'm talking about what you posted. You're shooting a gun. Our viewers just saw it.
Yeah, right.
#fire Pelosi.
Exercising our Second Amendment rights, having
That's not
fun,
a debate about the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
That's not a debate about the Second Amendment. #fire Pelosi.
Yes, it is.
Do you
I'm running
not
the
understand that is suggestive to people who are in a bad state and in this current environment, how risky it is? As you're talking about the importance of lowering the rhetoric.
I disagree with you.
Why do you leave that up?
Again, I never saw anyone after Steve Scalise was shot by a Bernie Sanders supporter
now,
trying to equate Democrat rhetoric with those actions. Please don't do that.
This is really interesting because everything that they're doing right now, the way that they run their ads, this is really, really important. This is pre-crime, kind of a Minority Report concept versus justice.
Yeah.
What they're saying is the fact that you have said something is almost a crime because somebody else will take what you've said and then go act on what you've said. And therefore, that what you've done, you've created a crime by your words.
It's not even acting on what you said. It's acting on a metaphor that is a perfectly reasonable metaphor.
But the problem is that's not how law works. Yeah. That's not how conversation works. That's not how the world operates.
Right.
I can have an opinion about something and say what I want to say, and it doesn't put me in a pre-crime Minority Report situation.
Right. That's right.
If you want to fix the problem, what you need to do is you need
punish
to
the criminal.
Punish the criminal. I would have sat up here and said, wait a second, are you saying that I don't have a right to a Second Amendment? Is there something wrong with me firing a gun? Why can't I fire a gun? Why are you opposed to an American citizen having a gun and owning a gun and shooting their gun in public? Why are you acting like a communist, you socialist?
You should be fired.
And you know what? Is this how you do journalism?
Yeah.
If you want to ask me a question, it's great. Do you have a problem with guns? What's your problem with guns? And then I would have leaned into the fact that, you know what? We live in America. We live in a place where our forefathers knew that we would have bad politicians who would do wicked things, who would want to take away our guns so that we would have a nation that they could manipulate and control like you're trying to do to me right now. We have guns and the right for guns from our forefathers so we can avoid this type of tyranny, the kind of tyranny that you're trying to force on me, and the type of tyranny that Nancy Pelosi is trying to force on our nation. It's un-American, and that's why we have guns. And I don't have a problem with it. I'm sticking with the Constitution.
That's right.
That's what he should have said, because
right.
she had that dude on his toes the whole time. What was interesting, though, was watching Tom Cotton, I think it was on CBS America Morning, watching him actually deal with some of the grasping happening by the Democrats.
It's a terrible crime against Paul Pelosi. I wish him the very best and a full recovery, and we should throw the book at the assailant. This is just one more example, though, of what we should always do with violent criminals, which is throw the book at them. We should do the same thing to the person who tried to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh. The same thing to all the agitators who are protesting in violation of federal law outside of justices' homes. And for that matter, not just speakers of the House or Supreme Court justices, any common criminal who attacks someone, who rapes, who murders, should have the book thrown at them. We need to crack down and get tough on crime in this country. That's the solution to all of these heinous crimes.
Pause. That's really good what he said. Like he's like, look, it doesn't matter if it was Paul Pelosi or the average person on the street. We don't let criminals get away with harming innocent people, right? If you commit a crime, you're going to have to pay to the fullest of the law.
Penalties
if you steal, I want to get rid of prisons, but if you steal, you pay restitution. If you kill, you get the death penalty. Period. Dot the end. We treat everybody the same way, right? And so not just Paul Pelosi because he's a person of status. We treat the average human being this way on the street because we're American. These are our laws. That's how we act here in America.
Senator, for the moment, I want to separate out everyday violent crime and what seems to be politically motivated crime, and get your thoughts on whether the temperature in the country is just too high, the misinformation is just too much, and that we're going to see more, not less, political violence.
Misinformation is too much?
I know.
I just got deleted. My last week's show on Ron DeSantis just got deleted on YouTube for misinformation. Quote, just happened. I just got an email today.
Well, what did you say?
I was just making a case that Ron DeSantis I thought should run for president, not Trump. That's all my case was.
You know what people can do with that?
It is misinformation.
People can
they deleted it.
They can take information like that and they can go kill Trump.
Yeah.
That's just what they do. Yeah. Gabe, so you got to be careful.
You think YouTube's trying to protect Trump?
Words can hurt people. Well, they can't read anymore. They don't know the basic forms of grammar. So here's what's interesting though about what just happened.
Is all the public schools that
we've had over the last
put out
100 years.
misinformation.
Political violence. Notice how he separates violence from political violence. Average person violence. We do the same thing with hate crimes. There's no such thing. If you kill somebody because you have malice in your heart, don't matter. That's the death penalty. Right? It's no hate crime. Well, you killed him because he was black. It doesn't matter. You killed the man. You murdered a human being, you get the death penalty. Politically driven crime is no different. Just because you're in politics, if you steal from a politician or if you steal from an average man, you get the same penalty. These things don't get separated and dealt out differently. It's that he's trying to deal this out differently. That's not how justice works. This is, again, the pre-crime kind of setup, the pre-crime world that these guys want to operate in versus justice. And out of all this screaming for justice, these guys don't want real justice. They want this politically driven crime.
Because what they're ultimately aiming for is they want power. The Democrats want power in the House, and they don't care what arguments or misinformation they have to put together to try to cast the Republicans as, the violent party versus the Democrats are the nice party, whatever. The Democrats want power, and that's why they're doing this.
And
they don't care about truth.
And how do we get you to shut up?
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. How would we get you to stop talking so that we can get this red wave to go away because they can feel it.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep playing.
Going forward, that's the concern. People in your own party have voiced that concern.
Well, you've seen deranged lunatics attack both Democrats and Republicans alike. I don't think John Boehner 12 years ago pointing out that Nancy Pelosi passed Obamacare, or Kevin McCarthy now pointing out that she passed trillions of dollars of spending that caused this inflation, led to this, apparent nudist activist breaking into her home. The simplest way to stop crimes like this is to get tough on crime. It's not to try to stop campaigning in the middle of the campaign 7 days before an election on legitimate issues of public concern.
Come on, Tom.
And absolutely, people should continue to campaign on legitimate issues of public concern. No debate there. But to be clear, from your answers here, you don't see any connection between things said in this country, in particular by people denying the results of the 2020 election and the motivations of, as you call it, this madman in Paul Pelosi's house with intentions against the speaker. You don't see a connection between the political rhetoric and the actions of this individual and other individuals.
Well, Tony, no more connection than Chuck Schumer going to the steps of the Supreme Court and saying that Brett Kavanaugh wouldn't know what hit him if he issued rulings that Chuck Schumer disagreed with. And what did you have? A left-wing hitman showing up at Brett Kavanaugh's house to assassinate him. The answer to all of these crimes is to get tough on crime and throw the book at these criminals.
This is really interesting.
That was good.
That's good. He was not. Yeah. He was not in defense mode. He was in offense mode, and he was attacking.
And again, it blows my mind that some nudist can walk down a neighborhood in San Francisco and go into a house and not get called by the cops or anything. It's just, I guess, common.
Wait for
people it. Walking around in nudist neighbor.
It sounds violent what you're saying, Gabe.
But no one noticed in that neighborhood. This guy walking into Paul's house. He had to walk through the neighborhood to get.
We don't know if he walked there.
I know. Well, that's also part of the point, too.
Hey, by the way,
whatever. I don't want to live in that neighborhood. You guys didn't notice this.
I want to say innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, sure.
Those are innocent until proven guilty, right? And so until we get the facts out,
he's going to get Epstein if he's.
Well, yeah, we'll see. This is not the only place though that Democrats feel like that they have a foothold. So Paul Pelosi and the whole violence from the right, they're using that right now to try and turn the narrative.
Yep.
The other thing that they've been using is, hey, Republicans are going to take away your rights.
Yep.
One of the areas that Hillary Clinton was talking about this was on she was on Joy Reid's show. I think it was just last night, talking about Republicans are going to take away your Medicaid and Medicare. So they think that, hey, if we can't get you and scare
on
you
the violence thing, you can't get on the violence thing.
Not just the violence.
We're a week before the election.
Yeah, abortion, that's not working.
Yep.
The violence thing, now they'll take away all of your rights, and they're particularly targeting old people who are a little more vulnerable and afraid and are uncertain about the future. And they're going after them to say, hey, if they get in office, you won't have what's owed to you.
Yeah.
That they are going to put Social Security and Medicare up for a vote. Now, I don't understand why every American, not just people eligible for those two programs that they have paid into, that they have worked hard for, that they have earned,
that they were forced
are not up
to pay
in
into.
arms. We've got lots of problems right now in our country. We need sensible people to come together to try to solve them. The last thing we need is to make life even harder for the vast majority of Americans, because it's not just seniors who would have Medicare and Social Security on the chopping block. It would be their children and their grandchildren who would have to step in to fill the hole that would be left by this reckless behavior, this ideological action that the Republicans are promising to take.
I had to open my beer for that one.
Did you open your beer?
I did. It's beer and Psalms, and like that, Hillary just pushed me over the edge.
We don't do beer and Psalms without the Psalm first.
It's coming. Coming. It's like No Quarter November with the video.
No, don't you even. Listen, okay. No, I just want to highlight the last part of what she said. So this is really evil. She has thrown fear up at the elderly. And then she's throwing it at the young people.
Yeah.
Notice what the fear is. Hey, if they take away Medicaid and Medicare, you might have to take care of your mom.
You might be free.
And your grandma.
Yeah.
You might be attached to them in a way that you're not attached to them now, and you'll be forced to pay for them.
Yeah.
And take care of them and love them and I don't know,
wicked.
Do the fifth commandment, honor thy father and thy mother, that your days might be long upon the earth. We don't just throw our parents and our elderly off into some sort of old folks home to go die away and unseen and unnoticed and visit them once or twice a year.
Right.
They are of value to us. Could you imagine if we can actually fix Medicaid and Medicare so that that we don't have it anymore?
Right.
We do want it gone because we don't want to overtax the citizens. and create all these layers of bureaucracy that we have to pay these folks that don't go to the elderly, that don't go to taking care of them. And we get that money back in our pockets, and we can actually take care of mom and dad and grandma and great grandma. Right. And we can have bigger homes that they can live in the house with us. And our kids get to see the process of life of what it looks like to get old well, and the old pouring into them all of this history. And this, hey, let me tell you about my grandmother and my great grandmother, and then living with them and learning how to care for the elderly, learning how to be patient with grandma, learning how to help grandma get to the vehicle and cook for grandma, learning how to cook from grandma. We're losing so much. And she's saying, hey, if we take away Medicaid and Medicare, you're going to have to care for them.
Yep.
She might as well said, hey, if we take away Medicaid and Medicare, you are going to have to get blessed from God from having this lovely human being in your home who's had all these years of history, bless you with knowledge.
Man, we just don't understand how much the government and all their programs has broken the family.
Completely broken it.
Yeah.
And you know what? And some of the ways that we saw this breaking, there's so much to say about Medicaid and Medicare, why it needs to be gone. And I'm not saying that we need to rip it up, just take the carpet out from underneath. I think there's a way to go about it so that we can strengthen the homes that the government has broken and has eroded against, so that they can build it up, so that mom, grandma, and great grandpa can come home. But you've also seen this tear down with COVID. When COVID happened, some of the worst people to get harmed from this were our elderly. Yep. And you know, Kathy Hochul, who you were just talking about, she's in New York talking about she'd do it all over again.
You and Donald Trump were the masterful COVID deniers. We are dealing with a real crisis. And the more people get vaccinated, get those shots in arms, and I would do it all over again what I did last year, that mandate for healthcare workers, because no one, after what we went through in this state and the loss of life and how people didn't survive being in a nursing home. I said our healthcare workers, when you walk into a doctor's office, a hospital or nursing home, you shouldn't contract COVID from the person charged with taking care of you. It was a tough decision. We limited it to healthcare workers, but that is something I believe saved lives.
But it didn't.
The vaccine didn't stop transmission.
That's exactly right. So they were sitting up there with a false truth. And you're talking about misinformation around people who were really vulnerable.
Where's YouTube?
Right. And sitting up here killing them at the same time while they're forcing people out of their jobs who love these other folks because they won't get shots. By the way, the Supreme Court of New York ruled against this mandatory vaccinations and said that they had no authority to do this, and it was arbitrary. So she's saying that she would go against the New York Supreme Court and do it all over again.
And remember, Governor Cuomo is his original policy that she kind of is continued on.
Yeah,
and
she didn't change it.
But his policy was sending old people who had got COVID and went to the hospital. They went from the hospital. They sent them back to the elderly homes to heal up or die or whatever. And so it was his policy that would take, because they didn't want to overwhelm the hospitals, that would take the elderly from the hospitals and put them back in the elderly home, where I think there was something like 30,000 elderly died in elderly homes in New York.
And that's
crazy.
It was gross. It was, this is what, at least we forget, this is what she's willing to do again.
Hi.
Open the door. She's saying open the door.
She's like, come in. She wants a hug.
Yep.
Yep.
She pulls out a picture of her son, probably the guy on the other side of the door.
It's okay.
It's not okay. She's banging on the glass, wanting to touch her family, to be human. Ugh.
Hey, I love you.
Oh, she holds up the picture again.
I wish.
She's begging for him to come in.
Wow.
I would do it all over again what I did last year.
Oh.
So this was on Megan Basham's Twitter post.
That video needs to be shared.
And she's trying to remind everybody, what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Buck, underneath her post, wrote this. Gabe, you have to read it because I can't read it.
So Tom Buck, responding to Megan Basham's thread on this video, said, I had to do that with my dad for 2 months. I wasn't allowed to go in and see him. I talked to him through the window on the morning of June 17th. He died suddenly that afternoon, and his last words he said to me were, please get me out of here. That was Tom's dad's last words. And I can't remember how many reports we had hearing from our show, and we covered all this the last 2 years, people reaching out to us. I mean, I had people reaching out to us saying, can you get me a doctor that could help me get my dad out of the emergency room at hospitals?
Yep. No, I remember that.
I had a lot of people because by the grace of God, we had connections with other doctors that knew how to play the ropes.
Yep. We were sneaking in medicine.
We had friends, we helped multiple people on the show get their family medicine in the hospital because a hospital refused to serve them. And they're trying to give them remdesivir and all that crap. I mean, it was egregious. And, here we are in northern Idaho, and I'm helping people all over the country, connecting with doctors that know how to pull their patients out of hospitals and save those patients. Those patients left the emergency rooms in Tennessee.
Yep.
Left their emergency rooms in Tennessee because we connected with a doctor that could help them get that patient out, bring them home, and that's where they got better, was at home.
Yeah.
And we want, and Kathy Hochul would do it all over again? That's what you want, New York? That's what you want, Idaho?
This is why you being vocal about this is dangerous. This is why the Democrats are trying to grasp for whatever they can because that's what they want. They're the culture of death. They're the ones who want to treat human beings like they're animals. Yep. They're the ones. Grandma needed to be hugged. Grandma needed to be loved.
That's incredible, man.
And they're letting people with the vaccine shot that is still transmitting COVID, be next to grandma.
Yeah.
But you, who is actually probably healthier than the person with the COVID vaccine, keeping you away from grandma.
Mm-hmm.
God have mercy.
Incredible.
So vote them out.
Yeah.
And then hold the people that we're about to put in there to the standard that we're talking about so that we don't ever forget what we just got done going through.
Folks, our friends at the Reform Sage would like to introduce you and yours to Reformanda Studios. Reformanda Studios, if you're looking for a better way to pass on the faith to your kids and help them memorize the catechism, and look no further. I still have the catechism memorized because my dad and my mom gave it to me.
Really?
The catechism. I don't have the whole catechism memorized, but I retained a lot of what my mom and dad taught me. The catechism is beautiful. Reformanda Studios is here with a fresh new way to catechize your children. A subscription with Reformanda Studios features animated videos that will be easy for your kids to follow along with, and subscription includes free study guides that can be useful for each video. See all Reformanda Studios animated content at Reformanda, REFORMANDA studios.com.
Now you can drink your beer.
Psalm 24.
Cheers to the King.
Psalm 24. This is such a great jam. We need a beat on this.
It's got one.
Heavier.
Dr. Herb says no.
Yeah. And then pitched it.
I need this song right now.
Yes, sir. We're playing the whole thing.
Okay. Toby doesn't play the whole thing.
This psalm's so good.
Our producers are happy.
Yeah. Here it comes. Cha. Cha. King of glory shall come in. He is the King of glory. Psalm 24. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas, established it upon the waters. Who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who may stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to an idol, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive a blessing from the Lord, and the righteous from the God of his salvation. And this is Jacob, the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face, Selah. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and lift up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is this King of glory. He is the King of glory. That's David Erb's version, Psalm 24. I like that better than Third Day's version. In a world that is full of blindness, we desperately need to bow our knee to the King of glory. In a world that wonders why we get liars to rule over us, it is because we believe those liars. We believe lies. We get liars because we believe lies. In a world that believes we evolved out of stardust, protoplasms, and monkeys, it's no wonder we get Mr. Potato Head transgender castrations, political parties advocating for murdering babies in their mother's womb, and a president and candidates who are barely alive. The scriptures are very clear that we reap what we sow, we get what we deserve, and this goes both ways. The unrighteous get what they deserve, and in the psalm, God rewards the righteous. So in verse 1, we see that the earth is the Lord's, and not one square inch is left without his dominion. And this includes all who dwell on this earth. Whether you believe in God, believe God owns this earth, or not, if you dwell here, the Lord owns all of it. God found the seas, he established the waters, but not everyone gets to ascend to his holy hill. For only those who have clean hands and a pure heart get to ascend to his holy hill. Those who don't worship idols, that don't swear deceitfully, they get to ascend to his holy hill. Only those who have clean hearts and a pure heart can ascend to the Lord. But how do we get clean hands? How do we get a pure heart? Well, in verse 5, we see that the clean hearts and those clean hands are a blessing from the Lord. And whatever righteousness you obtain is from God for our salvation. For God is of our salvation. God is for us. For those who receive clean hands and clean hearts are part of the covenant generations. This is really beautiful here. What Knox was talking about a little bit, being able to take care of your parents. This is kind of beautiful in Psalm 24. It says, for those who are clean hands and clean hearts are part of the covenant generations proceeding from Jacob. Because the line of Jacob is the covenant line that seeks the Lord. We then get to this glorious chorus, which was repeated twice in David Erb's psalm, which is repeated twice in this psalm. The gates picture the gates of a majestic kingdom. And the doors are the entrance to that everlasting kingdom. So it says the doors are open up the doors to this everlasting kingdom. And we should long for the King of glory to come in. The psalmist then goes on to ask the question. A question we should already know the answer to is, who is this King of Glory? Who's the King of Glory we're asking him to open up the doors and come into this everlasting kingdom? Who is this King of Glory? The King of Glory is the one that's strong and mighty. The King of Glory is who is mighty in battle. There's only one King of Glory, and this King owns the earth and all its fullness. He is that King of Glory. He is the Lord of all the host and the true King of Glory. And when we see our politicians like Hillary and Hochul and everything that was pulled on us these last 2 years, man, what glorious king we have. That he blesses his people with pure hearts and clean hands. He doesn't take us and package us in old fogey homes to die.
That's right. No.
He wants us to be part of this line of Jacob for generations, from generation to generation. Yeah. That's the King of Glory we serve, and that's the King that owns this whole world. The earth is the Lord's in all its fullness. That's the King of Glory I want to serve.
Look at you, good timing. Cheers to the King.
Cheers to the King, the King of Glory.
Amen. You don't even know who this is, do you?
Cece.
No, my goodness.
I'm so close.
No, this is Commission.
Oh.
Who was the King of Glory, man, from Commission back in the day?
I didn't know that. I didn't know, my bad.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. Our producer's tripping right now. He's like, where's the psalm at? Where's the psalm?
You didn't finish with David Earp's psalm.
While God created the world, the morning stars sang together. After God delivered Israel through the Red Sea, Moses and Miriam led the people in singing. God destroyed Israel's enemies under King Jehoshaphat, while the choir sang. When Jesus was born, the angels sang, and before going to the cross, he sang. God rejoices over us with singing, and one of the only things we know for certain that everyone will be doing in heaven is singing. At New St. Andrews College, we understand that music is not an elective. It is central to our being and identity. We endeavor to train all our students in a joyful and robust musical literacy that will help them shape culture in a Christ-like direction wherever they go. Additionally, we offer the Certificate of Music in conjunction with our bachelor's degree in liberal arts and culture for students who desire extra music training beyond the regular music courses they will take as a part of the core curriculum. In the certificate program, you won't simply appreciate music or listen to it or talk about it. You will do music. You will study it, analyze it, read it, write it, sing it, and play it. You will receive private instruction in your primary instrument, as well as secondary lessons in voice, piano, conducting, and other instruments. You will receive a solid foundation in music theory and analysis. You will study music history, church music, and music pedagogy. And when you graduate, you will leave with the ability to sing, play, understand, and steward music in whatever church or community you plant yourself. I'm Dr. David Erb, and this is the Certificate of Music at New St. Andrews College.
It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ .06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.